does not like any of the Korean men and is looking for a Japanese man. How much has she loved him that she married him just by looking at a picture? That is truly an ideal couple. Father is doing the work that makes this possible. Thus, the world is incapable of containing Father. This time, when Father was blessing 120 couples by gathering them in Citizens Hall, Father did not send formal notices to their parents saying, "Will you allow your son or daughter to get married?" Father did not know his head, saying, "I will hold a mass wedding for your son and daughter, so please give me permission." But Father never met one parent who protested, saying, "Why have you given marriage to my son and daughter? Who else can do this sort of thing?" When you see this, you can sense that the person who thinks deeply has better views about us. What group or what nation can do this kind of work? What president of a nation can do this? Only the Unification Church can do it. The parents of the blessed couple still feel gratitude towards Father. That's how it is. In case number 3, the story of a couple. Not long ago, Father visited Chun Nam. There was a woman there who I remember was at the blessing last time. I don't know if her husband is here today. The woman was the one who was left after everybody took their spouses. As, as the person who is responsible, I could not help but artistically sympathize with her. A good-looking woman can be tossed about, and still there are a lot of people who will take her, even if I tell them not to take her. And we're now on page 469. They will fight to take her. But since people are different from objects, nobody will marry a person he hates, even if I tell him in a morning service. Everybody was picked, and only one or two were remaining. She was one of them. Every man, without exception, knows how to distinguish a person of beauty. At the time, even Father himself, from a human point of view, could not ask a man to marry her. Then how can I, as a matchmaker, fulfill her marriage? If you were in the position to make a match for that kind of person, what would you say? Whether it is a man or woman, all of them trust Father and think that they will be matched to the best possible spouse. So since everyone has high hopes and has such a high standard of assessing a spouse, how can I give someone who is below his or her standard? Yet if I don't, I will have to match everyone to a person of highest standards. But that is impossible. What can I do about this? So what did I say? I said that if someone marries this woman, the second generation will be handsome. If it is a boy, and beautiful if it is a girl. But what happens if the children are not handsome? What if the children resemble their mother? That husband will protest to Father. Wouldn't that be so? He can protest all he wants, saying that Reverend Moon of the Unification Church deceived him and made him marry an ugly woman. But if they have beautiful children, everything will be solved simply. In this serious position, I matched them. Then, while I was visiting Chunnam, I stopped at a station for a short time and saw that couple. My heart was palpitating, and I was wondering if she had a baby. She was carrying a baby on her back. So, not paying any attention to anybody else, I went to her, looked at the baby, and said, "Wow, the baby is so handsome." In this way, I encouraged her, so let's just smile at this and go over it. Case number 4. Uh, One crippled woman is short. We're now still on page 469. When I was blessing people, there was one crippled woman, but her face was not ugly. She was born with a good ancestral background and a good nature, but she became deformed due to the fault of her parents. Every time I matched her to someone, each would reject her. In actuality, who likes to marry a deformed person? When I saw one certain person who had sunken eyes and many defects in his appearance, I knew that the person who could make up for those defects was that woman. Thus, I began to persuade him. Even though this woman looks this way, she is a good person. If you notice parts of her that you don't like, you can close your eyes. But her face is really beautiful. And why are you getting married? Isn't it for the sake of descendants? If you marry her in this kind of position, will it not remain for a long time in the history of the Unification Church? It will be an incident that I will not forget for the rest of my life. In this way, I talk to him and I match him, saying, if you marry her and have a daughter, she will be a beautiful girl. And if you have a son, he will be a general. Now we're on page 470. Several years later, Father visited a region, and that couple attended the meeting. As soon as that man saw me, he ran up. I asked him if I could see his baby. And when I looked, I saw that she was a really beautiful girl. Thus, he was praising his daughter, saying that what Father said is absolutely true. In the same way, don't think that somebody is good just because he or she appears good externally. All people are brothers and sisters. If there is a deformed person among one's brothers, it is brotherly love to sacrifice for that person. Again, if one's parents are in the same situation, it is the way of the filial son to obey and sacrifice for those parents. This is the general rule. Let's say that there is a child who is not only ugly but also so short that others will not even look at him. But his parents will feel the utmost pity for that child. It is the nature of a parent to love the child with the heart of God more than anyone or anybody else. And we have case number 5, 3 elites of America. This is short also. until 478, the three elites of America. I will tell you about a very special incident in America. In America now, there was a matching with some older women who deserved medals for pioneering our church there. They were all 42 or 43 years old. If they had married previously, they would have had children by now. I should give the blessing to them, but where could I find their spouses? This was a big problem I faced as I left to meet them. When Father went there and explained this problem to them, they all understood very well. Seeing how they responded, I felt that certainly these Western people have transcended self-centered thinking. A 42-year-old woman is like an aunt or an aunt, but a 33-year-old man says that he wants to marry her though there is a 9-year difference in age. The English members who were in America responded the same way. If a 42-year-old person and a 33-year-old person are to marry, is there anyone here who thinks that it should not happen? You should think whether you yourselves can do that. You should quietly think about it. Think how old your aunts and mothers are. Since the person is old enough to have had 2 or 3 children, if she were married, her face would be wrinkled and the rosy color in her face would have faded. Think how it would be if a woman who is like your aunt marries you in the flowering of your youth. Do you desire it or not? Be honest and tell me. You men, open and close, no. That is right. Answering that you do not desire it is the general rule. Then, did Father force them to marry? No, I did not. Those people do not just look at age, they respect honor very much. A person's achievement and results count for more than her age. Merits and results represent the whole of that person. That kind of concept is different from the Oriental concept. Why is that? They have the thinking that it's more important to live a short life well than to live a long life. In this sense, I felt that they had a progressive attitude. We're now on page 471, one paragraph. In the near future, in order to be for the young men to win over Father, they should have the magnanimity to be willing to marry older women. Do you feel good when you hear that? Why do you feel bad? Would you feel bad even if the woman were the only princess in that country? You would feel bad if she were the only woman on that country. What will you do if she